think now we got it. There we go. What's going on, everybody? Always some technical difficulties of some sort with my ass. So today, the U.S. Supreme Court will consider Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, a Mississippi 15-week abortion ban seeking to overturn Roe v. Wade. So today, we're going to get into a few things considering that. Bans off our bodies. I want to start off by talking about this article real quick. The conservative-dominated Supreme Court appeared poised Wednesday to roll back abortion rights in the U.S. by upholding a law in the state of Mississippi that would ban the procedure after 15 weeks. This is significant, y'all. Hold up. Well, where are my manners? I'm just starting off. I guess I got sidetracked by all the technical difficulties. I apologize for that, but thank y'all for tuning in. You're listening to the Leon Block. I am John Tell. Y'all already know your kinfolk with the info. If you are new to the Leon Block, well, don't you worry. We stream live, and we're currently streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter on the Leon Block platforms. The Leon Block Independent Media on Facebook, the Leon Block channel on YouTube, and Leon Block 1 on Twitter. So make sure you subscribe and catch that vibe. We also are on TikTok and Instagram too. We go heavy on Instagram, so come show us love. So what's going on today, y'all? It is damn near 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in Lancaster, PA. It's been pretty sunny. It was a nice day for a nice rally. And as we were talking about, the Supreme Court is considering Dobbs v. Jackson today, which can impact abortion restrictions and bans. And it will affect a lot of people. This is something that we should not take lightly. So the rally was important to highlight today. If you want to, please share and please make this go as far as you can so other people can see the footage from this event. I do want to start off by sharing this article, though, because hundreds of thousands of demonstrators gathered outside of this the courthouse for today. I'm drawing a blank here. The fucking DC, I guess, right? And this is the most pivotal abortion case to reach the nation's highest court in 50 years, they're saying. Mississippi Solicitor General Scott Stewart urged the court to uphold the state's 15-week ban and strike down the landmark previous cases that enshrined a woman's constitutional right to an abortion. While acknowledging abortion is a hard issue, Stewart argued that individual states should have the right to set their own rules. Wowza. When an issue affects everyone and when the Constitution does not take sides on it, it belongs to the people, he said. This court should overrule Roe and Casey and uphold the state's law. In its 1973 decision in Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court had held that access to abortion is a constitutional right. In a 1992 ruling, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, the court guaranteed a woman's right to a termination until the fetus is viable outside the womb, which is typically 22 to 24 weeks. At least 4 of the 6 conservative justices on the court, including 2 nominated by Donald Trump, seemed receptive to overturning Roe and Casey. The 2 other conservatives, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Neil Gorsuch, also a Trump nominee, appeared to favor a more cautious approach, upholding the 15-week ban in Mississippi while not going so far as to strike down Roe and Casey. Basically, this article is saying that it could be a long road to, we have basically a very conservative Supreme Court right now. If you have any thoughts, comments, and things you want to add to this and share, please, by all means, hit us up. We love to hear from you. You can reach out to us on through email to leonblock@gmail.com. You can hit us up through any of our social media platforms. Feel free. We always welcome it. So this Supreme Court is expected to render a decision by June, it says. Wowza. I really want to know what y'all thoughts are concerning this. Feel free to check us out, all right? So I do want to get into some footage from
I want to say a few words as well. A lot of y'all probably don't know a lot about me, although I'm around, but my name is Carolyn Mejia, queer, first-generation Afro-Latina activist, born to loving, hard-working immigrant parents who've supported me and my siblings, although coming to this country not knowing the language and not having any money to their names. My parents taught me very early to fight for what I deserved. And it's sad to see that in 2021, in a country that boasts the American dream, I'm still fighting for my basic right to essential health care like abortions. This is the direct result of historical racism, ongoing white supremacy, and coercive reproductive policies in our country. The right to decide if or when to have a child is essential to a person's ability to make personal decisions about their bodies and their futures. It's essential for social, economic, and racial equality in this country. We must realize that all of the issues that we face are interconnected. Poverty, gun violence, education, housing, environmental justice, public safety, and reproductive freedom. And until we work together to ensure that we all have equitable access to our basic needs, we can never truly be free. And that's what it means to be a feminist to me, to be truly intersectional in my approach to reproductive justice. I'm reading a book right now called Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot, about a black feminist writing about black feminism, one of the rare books like that. And in that book, Nikki Kendall says, "My feminism is rooted in an awareness of how race and gender and class all affect my ability to be educated, receive medical care, gain and keep employment, as well as how these things can sway authority figures in their treatment of me." This is powerful because we have to acknowledge the history of reproductive justice and the exclusion of BIPOC folks in the reproductive rights movement. We need to talk about the repercussions of this slavery because they're very well still existent in this day. And we see it in the streets, in our hospitals with maternal mortality rates being 4 times higher for black women than their white counterparts. We see it in our homes when black women are sleeping and forced to come in and police them in. We can all do the work to make sure we're dismantling the oppressive system that continues to make healthcare and our basic needs inaccessible to those that need them most. Bottom line, history has shown that youth, BIPOC, low income, disabled people, those living in urban communities, transgender, non-binary folks, undocumented folks, and the list goes on, are forced to protect their right to merely survive, including the right to make medical decisions about our bodies and well-being. Many don't know, statistically, 1 in 5 people who can get pregnant will have an abortion in their lifetimes, showing just how common it is, and showing that abortions deserve to be safe, legal, affordable, and accessible to all who need it and want it. Because all reasons for having abortion are valid. Abortions are an essential part of the tapestry of the sexual and reproductive health care and the wellness that we all deserve. So join me in shouting "Bans off our bodies" by filling out a supporter card, sharing your story, and donating today to an abortion fund. And if you do that, you get a free t-shirt. Just saying. Because we are a state with some access in limited areas, with a limited number of providers. The results of Dobbs v. Jackson could put pressure on the entire abortion access network throughout the country, including Pennsylvania. All right. Focus up. Again, thank you all so much for coming. If you want information, sexual reproductive health, we have some tables over here. Pause for Ishmael Smith, please. Alright. Thank you. Unfortunately, that concludes our speakers for today's rally for reproductive rights. Foley to the stage for
That was the wrong one. I'm like all out of here with this. Bear with me, yeah.
We have put this up. All right. Can you hear me? You good? A little closer? All right. So, thank you all for having me. I raced over here because I have a kid at home who's sick. And I'll say that being a mother is one of the greatest gifts I have ever had on this earth. And I'm alive today because I was able to have an abortion in my early 20s. I am also a white woman, so I had access to healthcare at the time. So I want to also say that, it's never just one issue in our community as women, as queers, black and brown folks, in terms of inequity. So this is also World AIDS Day. It's a week after Trans Day of Remembrance. So if we could have a moment of silence for those we have lost because of hate and discrimination. I would also like to, I have the absolute honor to introduce Alexa Wise, a black trans woman who was put in a male cell block as a peaceful protester in Lancaster. Her trial, a year and a half later, is set for Friday. So I would like to invite everyone here to join us and pack that room. Friday the, Alexa, Friday? On the 13th. So, and yeah, so please welcome Alexa Wise.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alexa, and since this is beginning with Bans Off Our Bodies, I want to invite everybody without a uterus here to shut the fuck up for 30 seconds with me, all right? And shut the fuck up. We need to be able to give people the room to speak their piece. I appreciate you giving me the time today. I'm not going to waste too much of your time. The second thing I have to say is that when we inflict bans on anybody's bodies in any sort of way, that is tantamount to creating a class of people that will be funneled into modern day chattel slavery. This is extremely, extremely important. We need to understand that even if it's not you today, it could be you tomorrow. It could be you the next day. So we need to fight tooth and nail to make sure that it's not anybody.
Today, es un placer estar aquí. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Alexis. I'm an organizer for Planned Parenthood PA Advocates. I work for Planned Parenthood's Latino constituency program, Rallies. Coming from a Latina background, this type of work is extremely important to me. Personally, I know firsthand what it's like to be lower income, non-English speaking, and in need of accessible health care. When I moved to central Pennsylvania with my parents and my older sister at the age of 5 years old, it was very hard for us to adjust ourselves to a non-English speaking world. At the time in central Pennsylvania, there were no translators or free rides to the doctor's office. There were no sheets to fill out at the doctor's or at the bank in Spanish. I had to grow up very quickly as a child to help my parents fill out applications or how to complain about a headache to a doctor. Do you know how awkward it is to go to the gynecologist with your mom and to translate in Spanish to English to Spanish if she is sexually active? It's extremely awkward, but at least I knew how to file my taxes at the age of 12 years old. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that there are flaws in our system. Not only was there no direct language assistance, in my case when I grew up, we had no money to afford to go to the doctor. If we had pain, we relied on homeopathic medicine or over-the-counter medicine. It wasn't until nonprofit groups like Planned Parenthood came along and really helped my family out. My mom could finally get a mammogram. We could get birth control, a consultation with a medical professional that is non-judgmental and translated in Spanish. These are exactly the reasons why I work for Planned Parenthood. Now, when we have cases like Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, which is the Mississippi 15-week ban case at the U.S. Supreme Court, this puts patients that go to nonprofits like Planned Parenthood in danger. So here's the core legal issue. The U.S. Supreme Court will consider whether bans on abortion are viability are unconstitutional. This is a threat to abortion rights and access. In its opening brief, Mississippi explicitly and repeatedly asked the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade and to rule that there is no right to abortion protected by the U.S. Constitution. This case is a direct challenge to Roe's core holding that every person has the right to decide whether to continue their pregnancy prior to viability. There's no middle ground here. Any ruling upholding Mississippi's ban guts the central holding of Roe and our right to make fundamental decisions about our lives, our futures, and our families. If Roe falls, half the states in the country are poised to ban abortion entirely, leaving even more people across large swaths of the South and Midwest without access to care. Multiple generations have relied on the constitutionally protected right to abortion to make fundamental rights about their health, lives, and futures. This is what will happen in our communities if the Supreme Court guts the constitutional right to abortion. The impact of abortion restricts and bans fall hardest on Black, Indigenous, and people of color, people with disabilities, people in rural areas like where I grew up at, young people, immigrants, and those having difficulty making ends meet, often in the South and Midwest, because they already face discriminatory obstacles to health care. In striking down the Mississippi ban, the district court was clear that this is a matter of racial justice and gender equality, saying that ban is closer to the old Mississippi that was intent on controlling women's bodies with a history of forced sterilization of Black women. people living on low incomes are often forced to delay accessing abortion care because they need time to secure funds and often encounter additional financial hurdles. Jackson Women's Health Organization is the last clinic standing in Mississippi, and Mississippi is one of 12 states with trigger bans, laws designed to ban abortion immediately if the court overturns Roe. With only one abortion clinic left, Mississippi is already an abortion desert, with some of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country, making access extremely difficult. So, if the Supreme Court overturns Roe, abortion could be banned or severely limited in half of the country, particularly in the South and Midwest. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your... Y'all hear me? Yeah. Hey, don't give me the mic. All right. Bands off our bodies. My name is Jasmine King, and like you heard, I'm the director for the Center at the Center for Racial and Gender Equity with YWCA Lancaster, where the mission is to eliminate racism and empower women. Today is an important day. It's a monumental day. Today on December 1st, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear the most consequential abortion rights case in generations. The threat is real. Let's be clear about who is harmed the most by abortion restrictions and bans. Women, Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, the LGBTQIA+ community, all birthing people, immigrants, young people, people with disabilities. These are people who are already harmed and disenfranchised by the systems that are created and existing in the healthcare system today. There are people who already having difficulty making ends meet and often forced to delay accessing abortion because they need more time to secure funds and encounter other financial hurdles. Anti-abortion politicians have worked for decades to create legal roadblocks to abortion, including state-mandated waiting periods. This is a matter of racial justice and gender equality. What's happening in Texas now is real-time preview of what's at stake. The Texas ban almost all abortion in state, forcing people to seek their care and cross over state lines. Bans off our bodies. The reality that too many people are unable to travel is real. This is a pivotal moment for U.S. Supreme Court to demonstrate that it decides cases based on precedent and the rule of law, not these politics or ideology. Abortion access is already abysmal in many states, and the rights granted by Roe are not reality for everyone. But it will get worse across the country if this basic protection of Roe are taken away. We need a world where abortion isn't legal, it must be accessible, affordable, and supported in our communities. This fight is not new. I say it again, this fight is not new. It dates back decades of blatant systemic and structural disenfranchisement, which directly impacts our minoritized community. We here in America have not created structural supports to support our babies, children, once they are even here existing in our world. We are facing healthcare crisis where there's a lack of affordable and accessible insurance for both post and prenatal care, the necessary emotional and financial support, child care, the list goes on. The right to decide when or where a child is essential to a person's ability to make personal decisions about our bodies and our futures. It is essential for our social, economic, and inequality in this country. So where do you stand on this issue? Where do we all stand on this issue? Until justice just is, bans off our bodies.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, everyone for speaking. Please enjoy the pretty nice weather for December 1st, honestly. We have some goodies over here. If you donate today, we'll give you a free t-shirt, free beanie, we got masks, everything. We have some great information over there from Planned Parenthood Keystone, which are the health centers here in Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania, serving over 20,000 patients a year. Definitely get some free information. I also wanted to let y'all know tonight we're going to continue this day of action. We'll be at TELUS 360 from 6 to 9 p.m. We'll have some hors d'oeuvres, we'll have music, we'll have some local artists displaying some pro-abortion art. We'll even have a paint and sip hosted by a local artist fee, a female artist. All by donations to an abortion fund. So please, thank you. Come out later tonight. Continue the party. We'll have some music playing. Definitely stick around. and she's going to do a statement for our Spanish speakers.
Hello everyone, I am back. Now I'm going to be giving a statement in Spanish from a former volunteer and patient of Planned Parenthood. Cada persona merece tener la libertad de tomar sus propias. Respeto a su cuerpo y a su vida, incluyendo la decisión de abortar. Pero los políticos que se oponen a nuestro derecho de abortar pretenden quitarnos esa libertad y nos negamos a quedarnos de brazos cruzados. El 1 de diciembre, mientras la Corte Suprema revisa un caso sobre la prohibición de abortar en Mississippi, que podría diezmar el derecho constitucional al aborto, simpatizantes y defensores se reúnan fuerza de la Corte en Mississippi y en ciudades de todo el país para celebrar un día de acción por nuestro derecho a abortar, porque solo se hará justicia cuando cada persona pueda tomar sus propias decisiones acerca de su cuerpo, su vida y su futuro. Muchísimas gracias, lo agradezco mucho.
Alrighty. This is our last official speaker. If anyone else wants to say something, you can definitely let me know. But finally to the stage, I'd like to introduce a local change maker and visionary. Ishmael Smith-Waddell is the president of Lancaster City Council and a program specialist at Lanco My Home. As an elected official and nonprofit worker, Izzy has fought hard to house every person and deliver medical care to vulnerable communities. He is here today as a friend in the fight to protect the right to abortion on demand without apology. Let's give a huge welcome to Izzy.
Do I got it? Yeah. I think I got it. All right. First of all, I just want to call out something real quick. As you may or may not have heard, I went to school for theater. And a big part of theater, of drama, is how one occupies and lives in a space, right? How you move in a space indeed shapes that space. And what I think is really powerful, where I just want to start, is that most days when I think of this intersection, I think of the gentleman who stands over there and tells us all that we're going to hell for being black or queer or daring to make decisions about our own bodies. And that it is refreshing to have something different here in this space. I was born and raised in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but my family is from Oglethorpe County, northern Georgia. My grandmother was born a sharecropper. She was one of 15. Her mother was one of 15. My mother was born in 1948. And what those three generations of women have passed down to me is an understanding of where black people have come from. And understand the history of abortion laws in this country is not about faith, it's not about God, it's not about life. We are two generations of Catholics raised by a Southern Baptist. It is about control. And it has been about, I'm sorry, I always get a little bit emotional. It has been about decades of when people with uteruses got a victory in terms of how to define their own life. For the past half century, people have been trying to walk that back. For the past half century, we have seen a retreat in the reproductive justice rights of all people, but especially Black and brown and indigenous people. And we cannot retreat any longer. Retreat has gotten us right here. Retreat has gotten us to a place where we're all standing on a street corner hoping that 9 people we didn't elect are not going to tell our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones, the people standing here, that they can no longer make decisions about their bodies. And I just want to emphasize what it was that Carolyn said when she ended. 26 to 27 states are prepared to, as soon as Roe is overturned, if it is overturned, they are prepared to immediately ban abortion, and that includes Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've taken a look at our legislature lately. This is not an issue for people in Mississippi. This is not an Alabama issue. It's not a Northern Georgia issue. This is Pennsylvania. This is our home. And our rights are being violated. The rights of the women in my family, of everyone that I know, to access health care, because that is what we are talking about, is health care, are being violated and restricted and threatened. Now, I am standing here as the president of Lancaster City Council, and I am proud to say, first and foremost, that we will not tolerate any such threat. But I want us to understand what Lancaster City looks like. Recently, where the old Planned Parenthood was located on Lime Street, a maternal fetal medicine clinic was open. But before it was opened, I want you to understand that there were exactly 0 private practices in the southern half of the city. This, right here behind me in King Street, this is a plexiglass wall in a segregated community, and south of it, there was no health care.
Got it.
And we exist in a place, in a city, where Black and brown people are already disenfranchised of so much, and now we are on the precipice of the entire state, millions of people being disenfranchised from the most basic health care. And whatever your beliefs, whatever your faith, whatever your politics, you have to understand, we all have to believe that everyone deserves the right to health care. And so that is why I am standing here with you today, and it is my hope. In fact, no. I don't have time for hope. It is my faith, it is my belief that regardless of what the Supreme Court decides in Dobbs, we will have to grab the arc of the moral universe with both hands to protect reproductive health care all across this country. Whether we take a W or we take an L, we will have to get in there and fight, because if this is a W, Lord knows they'll be back next year, and they'll be back the year after that. I just want to close by saying that the way that this happened was organizing. Opponents of reproductive health care have been organizing for 5 decades to put people in positions. This has been half a century of work to get to this point where our health care hangs by a thread. We must be as organized as they are. We must fight as hard as they do. This can no longer be a spectator sport.
Yes.
Our lives, you know, as has been mentioned up here, I do not own or operate a uterus, but as has been mentioned up here, there are people that I know and love for whom an abortion was life-saving health care. There are people who hardly knew that they were pregnant by the time that some of these bans that they want to pass would stop them from having an abortion. And there are people around our country who live in states where simply having a uterus puts them at risk of going to jail. Why? Because, and I remember when this was said 10, 15 years ago, everybody was like, this is ridiculous. If we treat abortion as murder, then miscarriages become manslaughter. And everybody said that was too much. But we saw in Utah, we saw in Florida, we saw in Mississippi, multiple cases where that is exactly what happened. And so what I am saying to you is this can no longer be a spectator sport because the lives of people that we love are on the line. And if we can't show up then what the hell are we even here for? Thank you.
Yeah, so there we have it. This can no longer be a spectator sport. It is time that we get organized, come out, show support, do what you can, but do not stay silent. If you have any opinions, questions, concerns, shout outs, things that you want to get off your chest, feel free to hit us up. Email us at theleonblock@gmail.com or just DM me on our Facebook, The Leon Block Independent Media. Shout out to Carolyn Mejia and all of the other speakers of the event. Shout out to Planned Parenthood, rallies. Shout out to all of the organizations and people that made this event possible and are speaking out, speaking up, arming themselves with knowledge and speaking truth to power. Remember, we love input and conversation. This is what we do. It's our purpose. This is your media platform. If you're looking for more content, feel free to check out our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, where we connect with our comrades in the movement and help connect you to not only the most important news, but also the up-to-date events, movements, demonstrations, rallies, marches, press conferences, trials, spiritual retreats, and much more. But our Facebook is currently our motherboard with the best embodiment of all things Leon. The Facebook page is the best way to keep up with the Leon Block and current events, news, everything you need and more you will find on our Facebook. But don't forget, we're on all the other platforms: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. If you'd like to donate, we have Venmo and Cash App. And if you enjoyed this talk about this event and talk about what's currently going on considering the abortion ban and bans and the Supreme Court decision starting today, definitely head over to our YouTube. We have more shit on topics ranging from everything like Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, adoption, mental health, Black farmers, capitalism, sex and relationships, rental assistance, weaves, redlining, generational wealth, chakras, crystals, molestation, rape, sex work, climate change, homelessness, you name it. Okay? So, I love y'all. Please be safe. As always, thank you for tuning into the Leon Block. Make sure you meditate on your path, celebrate your being, liberate your spirit, and educate yourself. I'm John Tell. Arm yourself with knowledge and have a blessed journey.